one of these has to be the core of the business, and everything else will support that. If you want a podcast, but you can't become a full-time podcaster and have a full-time job and have a physical products brand and have a digital product. One of these has to be a screaming success.
What's up? How you guys doing?
Good to see you. It's been a minute.
It has. It's been a minute. You can tell you guys love this. You're amazing at it too.
Thank you.
And gotta say, you put on the greatest events here. CapCon was.
Thank
awesome.
you very much, Patrick. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Thanks. What's on your mind?
So on my mind, I got all kinds of stuff, and I loved the last two. They feel like they're answering a lot of my questions as well, because I feel like there's been great progress. We've got momentum. We've had successes, but then you just get like, gosh, and I'm even on the right path. I mean, it kind of takes me back to that Tony Robbins, like if you're running east looking for a sunset, you're not doing it right. Like, so many ideas. How do you get down to clarity and just make sure you've got that right profitable product mix, I guess, is kind of where the thoughts are.
Well, give us some context from which place are you from what place are you asking this question?
Asking it for building the business in the future. Like, I have a very clear vision. I went through Justice's Purpose-Driven Profit, loved it. I work full time at a company right now where I'm, well known. I love what I do too, but it's like I have this, I guess, an insatiable desire for a little bit of the background. What the goal is, it's really inspiring humanity to live fit, fulfilled lives. We want to create products that enhance performance, that parents and professional, high performing parents and their youth athlete children love, like healthy, primal, paleo type foods. Is this
business active right now, or is this a new project?
It is a new project, but there is a base for it. And what I mean by that, for the background, I've always run something like when I owned a CrossFit gym before, I've run a thing called the Fit Life Challenge. At my company right now, DLP Capital, we run the Fit Life Challenge. These are all high performers that get in to do this kind of paleo primal living type stuff. So it's all of those people. We have the audience. We've just launched the product. Couple successes this week. We kicked off the Fit Life Challenge actually with Mark Sisson. He was on the program with us, so that was pretty cool to have that. One weekend, have 100 members, already changing lives. We got 800 samples of our second product in. We're doing an event next week, so that is good.
What's the first product?
From Fit Life Challenge, we thought, well, what do we want to do now? I was working on other things, and I want to dial it in on nutrition, just like what you were talking about to the last guy. So basically got in, like, these are all kind of grain-free, sugar-free type things. So the first one is sorry, I'm talking all over the place. Let me back up. The first product was
I'm following. So
okay.
you've got a digital product and a challenge with paying members.
Correct.
You've launched publicly, so you have a little bit of an audience, and now you have paleo snacks as the physical arm of this.
Basically, you could say that. The other piece that we did is part of the challenge too. It's all about journaling. So we had released a product we called the Elite Journal before. So there is a journal, but now I want to really focus, because you say, what is the focus?
Yep.
I really think nutrition would be that. So we have paleo snacks, for example, grain-free granola, a post-workout like treat, those kind of things.
Patrick, you seem really clear. Where is the confusion?
To me, it's confusion because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, we've got this thing called the Fit Life Challenge. We've got my brand, which we've called InRive, but I'm still working for DLP Capital. How do I put it all under an umbrella? And I kind of came up with this, like, maybe I start a podcast platform, YouTube channel, call it Ignite Performance Today, because everything is all about igniting performance.
We've got 2 half-built bridges. Let's start a third.
And so that's the issue, is like, is this too much? Am I confusing the folks? But can it all fit under there because it's the same market?
It's the same answer as I gave Trump. Yeah. You've got to build one of these.
Okay.
And by the way, you can have a podcast, a YouTube channel, a physical brand, a digital brand. You're talking to me. I do all of these things. But you have to do
kind of based on your model, yes.
You have to do one of these really well. You have to do one of these has to be the core of the business.
Okay.
And everything else will support that. If you want a podcast, but you can't become a full-time podcaster and have a full-time job and have a physical products brand and have a digital product, one of these has to be a screaming success. And so, and here's the thing, Patrick, whichever one you pick is going to take a year to 2 years. So the only thing you have to do is pick which one you're willing to spend the next year or 2 years building. And any of them can be successful. You have a Fit Life Challenge with Mark Sisson be incredibly successful if you're willing to do that and only that for 2 years. You have a really successful podcast and YouTube channel if you're willing to build that for the next 2 years. You have a screaming success of a snack brand if you're willing to put in 2 years for that. All of these can be huge successes. You got to choose which one you're willing to put in 2 years of work for. Right. Which one will be fun enough that will give you energy so that if it's the snack brand and you love doing the snack brand, it gives you energy to do the snack brand. Then at the end of the day, you've got so much energy that you whip out a quick podcast and you upload it and it becomes part of the machine. Whereas if you pick the podcast because you think it has the biggest upside, then what you'll find is that you force yourself to do the podcast and you have no energy left over to do the snack brand. Right? It's just which one of these is going to give you energy versus take it away. And that will create the momentum for the business to out earn your job if you want to leave that one, and for you to have the cash flow to hire the team to build the other pieces of the business. But one of these has to take off first, and that requires you picking the one that you can commit to for the next 12 to 24 months.
Well said. Clarity.
Yeah. I've got a question here. It sounds like there's a fear you're trying to hedge against. And then by hedging against it, you're like, if I produce these other things and start building these other things, this will help me solve this problem. And maybe it's a problem you're trying to hedge against by creating more work for yourself. And so I'm part of me is just going, and if I'm projecting, forgive me, I'm going, what is the problem he's trying to solve by making more work for himself? Is it audience growth? Is it there's something that you're like, if I don't have this, then I can't solve this. I got to solve this. And the way I'll solve it is creating more things. And I can't figure out what that is.
That's a great question. I mean, I hadn't thought about it that way. Initially, I don't think it's a fear thing. It just seems like, I mean, maybe part of it is like, I like all these things. Like, how do I fit it into one thing and do all of it? I think that's probably more where it's coming from. But totally get focus on one, do it well before convoluting everything else.
Now, Patrick, that doesn't mean you can't podcast and do YouTube channels and do Seal Fet and hang out with Mark Sisson. It just means they can't be your business.
Right. Okay.
You can do all the podcasts and YouTube channels all you want, but they come back to support your business, which is the snack brand. Because
so that's a great call because you guys talk
like
about
me. Then the problem you're trying to defend against is getting trapped into doing something that you don't want to do and not having time to do the other things. Look, Ryan's going to podcast. I can't not, right? If no one's listening and there's no business behind it, I'm still going to podcast. I can't not. So you can still podcast on YouTube and do all these things, but you got to have one primary business. And whatever you build is going to do just fine. And these other things can support it as long as they're a sense of expression and joy and energy rather than you trying to make it the business. You can't have 4 businesses that are in the startup phase, but you can have one. And the other 3 activities can just be activities.
Yeah.
So you're saying activities to be supporting the business, like you guys always talk about, document the journey. That should be something that should be going on in the background to support whatever the primary is, or
correct.
Forget it. Okay.
Correct.
Cool.
Tell us what you're going to do about this.
Yeah. What are you going to do? This is I'm freaking fired up for Patrick. Tell us what you're going to do.
I'm looking at my list here, trying to pick, like, obviously the things that fire me up the most. Fit Life Challenge, hearing these stories in the past week are amazing. Like a guy who's been on a heart medication, his insulin spikes. He's simply on diet. He now doesn't have to take insulin anymore. I love it. But then the other side of it, the snack brand, this came in yesterday. My 14-year-old took it to school. He is leading taste tests with his youth athlete friends. So it's like, I love having the family involvement. So it's definitely one of those two. So first off, I have to make the decision there. And then I think the other piece is definitely all in on that one. I feel like it is all in on this nutrition side of it. Something about documenting the journey from the last call and really, really starting to share this message with the market are really the biggest takeaways.
All right, you're going to tell us which one is going to get your focus, and you're going to post it in the Facebook group.
Okay.
Patrick, I'm gonna share this. There are 2 people. It's you and Rose that I constantly every day go, why are they not in the incubator? I genuinely, I come back to you two and I'm like, why is he not in there? Like, there'd be coaches to keep him accountable and help him. The vision would get you clear on which way to go. I'm just like, what's going on here? What's the deal?
Don't have an answer. I just love this. I think, but yeah, it's probably the logical next step of where we go. Because I mean, part of it, to answer your question, is like, there is so much going on. Do I add another thing? So, that's.
I'll just start a YouTube channel instead.
I was like, I need to get Stan, who's the lead trainer, to yell at you too, and Jason to yell at you too, and Greg to not yell at you, but just suggest that you focus on one clear thing. I'm just like, dude, you've got something so great here. Plus, if you guys, don't go to his Instagram if you might find yourself lusting, but the guy's ripped. Like, it's crazy. Like, he has gone true primal. So, dude, the results that you've gotten for yourself and for your family and for the people that are coming in, like, there is something there that I think, like, focus looks like something, and I think what you're getting clear is like that vision of what this focus looks like. And then I'm really curious as to what will the results be of you building this brand? Like, what happens to people's life? What is the impact you want to create, right? Like, getting real clear on this, because that one story of a guy getting off insulin, a brand creates hundreds and thousands.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, I want to get into Patrick's heart to pull that out, because when that's out, focus comes. Boom. Yep, I got to go in this direction. This is what, like, it becomes really, really clear. You're very logical, which is why you can, like, get ripped in like 6 months and like all that stuff. And disciplined. You're extremely disciplined, which is a huge part of performance. But usually most disciplined people, the thing that they struggle with the most is what's in the heart. How do I communicate what's in the heart? And that's where audiences grow, because they go, I jive with that. I jive with the mission behind. I jive with what this person is saying and doing and believing. So I'm pumped for you either way. You know this already.
I'm going to contrast Justice just slightly and say, if you decide that the snack brand is going to be your focus, you need to come in the incubator. If you decide that it's going to be podcast, YouTube, and the Fit Challenge, maybe not.
Yeah.
May not be the best route for you.
Right.
Now, I am personally biased about the direction that you should go because of my experience and who I help and the success stories I've seen. So I'll give you a quick preview of what my recommendation would be if you were to hop in. And that is that the snack brand is a thing that you can scale and sell. And that will give you the customer base to be able to bring into a challenge that is your high margin cash flow, which will take a lot of stress off the snack brand. So if your snack brand is the thing where you're acquiring customers at break even or better, you're getting repeat customers, you're getting reviews and word of mouth, organic growth, that is something that can be sold for a whack ton of money. Just ask our buddy Mark Sisson.
Right.
Now, what that will do is give you the customer flow for you to put into sequences of an actual challenge that has very low expenses, very low overhead, super high margin, great testimonials, great case studies for people using your snacks and your food and following your process. And that becomes the cash flow piece that really kicks off 6 to 12 months from now. It can still be a nice little cash generator right now, but it really is going to get momentum when the snack brand takes off, because you've got so many customers and so much branding in the marketplace. So that would be my recommendation from a biased place, assuming that you decided to make the snack brand the focus. So that's a quick preview of, if you decide to go that route, what I'll probably recommend that you do once you go in the snack route and join the incubator.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the biased recommendation, but no, it's a great one too. So thank you.
Good to see you, Patrick.
Great to see you guys. Thank you.
Yeah.